Hello, my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be a TBR video of sorts for all of the books that I want to read in the spring. I will be leaving all of the content warnings for all of the books that I mentioned in this video down in the description below. Spring is one of my favorite seasons, and the weather and just like the overall atmosphere that it creates really does spark like a specific feeling in me. And these are all going to be books that I think can fit well within that atmosphere and or are sequels to books who have fit this atmosphere well and have provided me with that feeling in the past. So with that, I do have 12-ish books here, and let's get into it. So the first book for this TBR is going to be An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This follows our main character who paints paintings for the fair folk. One of her customers ends up being the Autumn Prince, and she paints mortal sorrow into his eyes, which is something that could cost him his throne. As he takes our main character to stand trial for her crimes, they find out that everything is not as it seems, and they must rely on each other for survival. So this is a book that has been on my TBR for a long time. I read Sorcery of Thorns by this author a little while ago now, and it was a 5-star read for me, so my expectations for this are pretty high. And I also have like a fondness for stories with fae, and as of recently, stories with art. And because of all of that, I do think that this book will end up going well. There's also just something about like fae and fairy tales that I feel like really pairs well with spring for me. So yeah, hopefully this will end up being a solid spring read for me, even though this is kind of giving me a little bit more of fall based on like the cover and like the Autumn Prince, but we'll make it work. This next book is pretty much the reason I'm making this video, and that is Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World, which is the sequel to Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Aristotle and Dante follows two boys who are really opposite of one another, however they develop like a special bond when they meet. And this bond ends up helping them grow into who they want to be as individuals and helps them learn like the most important truths about their lives. So this spot technically goes to both books, but this one will be a reread for me. And I read this book on like one of those really nice spring weather days. And this is an experience that I would just love to recreate to the best of my ability. And I also just don't remember this book that well, but I remember loving it, and I just want to read the sequel with the knowledge from book one a lot closer to me than it currently is. I never end up doing a lot of rereads despite me always wanting to reread books, but this feels like a good one to like go ahead and do. I remember reading it fairly quickly, and it's like a shorter book, I guess. And I also just really love contemporaries, and specifically contemporary romances for the spring and also the summer. But just the atmosphere that this book created for me that spring feels really special, and it contributed to my love for this book as a whole, and I'm looking forward to just not only diving back into this one, but just taking that feeling and going right into the sequel. So the next book on this list is Bloom Into You. This is the light novel version of it. And this follows our main character, who is a big fan of shoujo manga and has always dreamed of the day when she would get a confession of her own. However, when the day comes where one of her male classmates gives her this confession, she ends up feeling nothing. She enters high school still unsure of how to respond, but gets inspired when she sees the student council president turn down her own suitor and goes to ask her for advice. Our main character's big romance may have finally begun, however, when the next confession comes from the student council president herself. So I mentioned this the last time that I talked about this series, but I am just on like this constant search for non-problematic queer manga and anime, and the anime for this is not currently streaming on any of the platforms that I have. And then I also could not find the manga, so we're gonna go with the light novel. And I also just really love romance anime during nice, sunny weather. Like, I have two of my absolute favorite comedy romance anime returning this spring, and it just feels so perfect, and I am so happy. So I thought that I would go ahead and do the same with this one. I've heard such amazing things about this series, and I'm looking forward to finally starting it. So next is Cinderella Is Dead by Bayron. This takes place 200 years after Cinderella found her prince, and teen girls are being required to attend an annual ball where they can be selected as wives. Those who are not chosen are never heard from again, and our main character decides to flee from this ball, and while she is hiding in Cinderella's mausoleum, she meets Cinderella's last known descendant and her friends, and together they vow to take down the king once and for all. So like I said before in this video, I enjoy having fairy tales in the spring, and this is another one that has been on my TBR for a while now. And this is a book that has been like floating around my March TBR, so I thought that I would also go ahead and include it in this video. I tend to gravitate towards fairy tale retellings in general, and I'm so curious to see where this one goes because it feels like it has a really interesting world set up in here. And I've heard really nice things not only about this book but also this author's other book called This Poison Heart that I also own and am also as excited for, maybe even more excited for than this one, but I want to get this one done first. And yeah, this just feels like it has a lot of different things that have worked like amazing for me in the past, and I'm just so excited and so compelled by what it sounds like, the story and like the world and the romance and just everything and what they could be. And next up we have Heartstopper Volume 2. This follows the story of our main character Charlie, who is like an openly gay and high-strung, and he's like the overthinking type. And then this also follows Nick, who is like a cheerful and soft-hearted rugby player. They become friends very quickly once they meet, and Charlie is falling hard, but he just isn't sure if he has a chance. Okay, so the teaser for the live action just came out, and I haven't watched it yet since I'm behind, and I want to finish this series before I dive into like anything live action related. So it's definitely time to continue this series no matter how much I just want to like savor my experience with it. Once again, it's a contemporary romance. I like having those in like nice warm weather, spring, summer, sure. And Volume 1 was a graphic novel that I really loved, and it really showed me what I expect from like my 5-star graphic novels moving forward, because I don't have a lot of those. And I just hold this series so close to my heart for that, and I love this romance, and I think it has some really strong panels, and I'm just assuming this will be another 5-star read. And then after that, I do just have to get my hands on the other volumes because I have not done that yet, but as soon as that happens, we'll hopefully be good to go. Okay, so next we're going to talk about 2 manga series, and one of these I already alluded to in this video since its anime is coming back this spring, so we'll start with that one, and that series is Komi Can't Communicate. This follows a high school girl who has like extreme social anxiety, and she wants to make 100 friends. So this was an anime that just immediately took over my entire heart, and it is very special to me. So because of that, I went out and bought the manga, or at least the first 4 volumes of the manga. We're still working on it. And while I was watching the anime in the fall, I kept thinking about how much I would have loved this series in the spring, and not only am I going to get that experience with like the second cour or second season or whatever it is of this anime, but I do think this would be like a lovely time to dive into the manga. And speaking of stories that are incredibly close to my heart, I want to continue on with the Haikyu manga. Haikyu follows our main character who is determined to be a great volleyball player and defeat his rival, despite being on like the shorter side of things height-wise. He's actually like taller than me, but like sure. I feel like I took a mini break from this series since I just love this series so much when it's sunny outside, since I feel like this series is just like such a bright light in my life, and I want to honor that. But both of these series just have so much heart, and they're so cute and so much fun, and they're just some of my top favorites ever, and I love them so much, and they both mean a lot to me. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to these for sure. So next up is Stronger Than a Bronze Dragon by Mary Fan. This takes place in a village when they offer a powerful viceroy their sacred and enchanted river pearl in exchange for permanent protection. He is going to marry one of the village women in order to solidify this alliance, and our main character is selected to be the bride. She is not a fan of this idea at all, however she feels that she needs to consent to this for the sake of her people. However, everything changes when a thief steals the river pearl, and our main character takes it upon herself to catch the thief, since she knows the alliance won't go through without it. Okay, so this book is part of my I want to finish all of the books that I did not finish last year TBR. And I remember reading this last year around spring, so I have those memories of it. So I figured I could pick it up right where I left off, you know, just like a year later. I remember really loving the world, and I feel like this has some really cool and really strong elements in the story and the characters, and there's like a fun dynamic that I really liked. And I liked our main characters quite a bit. And I also don't think I have too much of this left. Okay, it's a little bit over 100 pages, so like that's a little more than I thought I had left. I'm curious to see just like how everything wraps up, because I felt like I was at a point in the story where everything was going to start wrapping up. So I'm curious to see like if that's true, and if it is true, I'm excited to see how it ends. Or if that's not true, then I'm excited to see where this goes and how it ends. So next up is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and this follows our main character who has been obsessed with the lost city of Weep since he was 5 years old, but he believes that he is not the correct person for this dream to have chosen, as he thinks that he is not bold enough. However, when a legendary god slayer and warriors present him with the opportunity, he finds himself with a chance to either seize his dream or lose it forever. And this is yet another book that has been on my TBR for a while now. And I don't know, just like based on the cover and from what I've heard about it, I do kind of get like a spring vibe from it, maybe. Why not? I've literally heard so many amazing things about this book and just like the beautiful writing, and I desperately want that experience. And I feel like my wish for this book is like heightened because I did not have that experience with the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by this author. Which is why I do feel like I've been kind of putting this off some, because I'm nervous that the hype and just like the amazing sounding plot will not work for me again for whatever reason. But the rating for this is so high and the hype is so real and the plot just sounds so strong, and I do feel like I need to give it a chance, and I think that time is coming soon. So next I have The Camalopi Trail by Kiersten White, which is the sequel to The Guinevere Deception. So The Guinevere Deception follows our main character Guinevere, who is going to be marrying King Arthur in order to protect Camelot. However, Guinevere's real identity is a secret, as she is actually a changeling. In order to protect Camelot and also Arthur, Guinevere must navigate the court as magic lies in wait to reclaim the land. So I remember having this moment while I was outside reading book 1 in this like really beautiful weather, and I just remember having this like amazing sense of peace and love for the book and for nature and for reading and just like all of that. And because of that moment, I just really want like a nice weather day for this book. And I'm excited to see what this book and also like the third book, even though I don't own it yet, I'm excited to see what they both bring. I also feel like I have a little bit of a ship here, and I'm also just like invested in the magic and the villains. And in book 1, I also just really fell in love with the writing style, and I also feel like that kind of pairs well with the weather. I don't know, I feel like I'm so behind on so many of my 4 and like 5-star book series, and I just want to like start the process of fixing that. And The Guinevere Deception was a 5-star read, so I'm just hoping this one will be as well. So finally, in this video, we have Queen of Volts by Amanda Foody, which is the sequel to King of Fools, which is the sequel to Ace of Spades. So Ace of Spades follows our main character who must visit a city of sin where no one survives uncorrupted after her mother disappears. So this series is on the list for the same reason the Camalopi Trail is. I feel like I've had such like a roller coaster of experiences with this series. There is so much here that should really connect with me because I love this world and the setting so much, but I didn't end up loving book 1 that much, but I did end up liking book 2 quite a bit. I don't know, it's just been such a journey, and I feel like I should reread this series, but that's just like too many pages right now. So I'll probably just end up looking up some recaps or something because I want the book 2 experience with this one, or maybe even better, who knows. But I definitely do really want to finish this series because, like I said before, I'm not finishing too many series right now. And we'll see how it goes because at this point I have no idea how it will go, but that's also part of the fun. Okay, so that is all of the books that I have for this video. The feeling that I get from spring is actually very similar, but also not. It's different from the feeling that I get from summer. So there may be like some crossover between these two lists, even though when I was looking at books for this video, I was like also creating my summer TBR as well. So yeah, I don't really know. I used to be really strict about my TBRs, but now I like to see them as just like a guidance or a suggestion or something along those lines. So either way, it will be okay. And with that, that is all I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that. And hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye.